Good morning. In this lecture, we will be looking into reform movements and dictionaries. In the last lecture, we have already learned about spelling reform. Now, let's look into reform movements. Let's begin. There were many attempts to reform English spelling during the 16th century. In 1568, Thomas Smith published a dialogue concerning correct and amended writing of the English language. He increased the alphabet to 34 letters and marked the long vowels. But Smith's reform did not win much favor. His work, moreover, was in Latin. And what would this do? It would limit the chance of popular influence. A more considerable attempt at phonetic reform was made in 1580 by William Blocker in his book At Large for the Amendment of Orthography for English Speech. Richard Milcaster in 1582 brought out a treatise on English spelling. During the Restoration Age, the task of spelling reform was took up by the English Academy. So, what accelerated the reform is the publication of his dictionary in 1755 by Dr. Johnson. So Johnson's dictionary offered a standard and fixed spelling system. The publication in 1837 of a system of shorthand by Isaac Pitman led to his proposal of several plans of phonetic spelling for general use. In these schemes, Pitman was assisted by Alexander J. Ellis, a much greater scholar. So as it is said in the textbook, the quest or search for spelling reform was strongly followed by Pitman and others in the 19th century. So there were many attempts at reform over the years. What Professor Ernest Weekly says about English spelling in his work, The English Language, is that the English spelling is so far as its relation to spoken words is concerned quite crazy. ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് സ്പെല്ലിങ്ങും സ്പോക്കൺ വേർഡ്സുമായിട്ടുള്ള ആ ഒരു റിലേഷൻ ക്വൈറ്റ് ക്രേസി എന്നാണ് പ്രൊഫസർ ഏർണസ്റ്റ് വീക്ക്ലി അഭിപ്രായപ്പെടുന്നത്. നമ്മൾ പറയുന്ന വേർഡ്സും അവരുടെ സ്പെല്ലിങ്ങുമായിട്ടുള്ള റിലേഷൻ നിങ്ങളൊന്ന് ആലോചിച്ച് നോക്കൂ, ആ ലിങ്ക് മനസ്സിലാവും. സോ നൗ ലെറ്റ്സ് മൂവ് ഓൺ. നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഇസ് അബൌട്ട് ഡിക്ഷണറീസ്. In the Middle Ages, glosses were written. A gloss means a brief notation, especially a marginal one or an interlinear one, of the meaning of a word or wording in a text. It may be in the language of the text or in the reader's language if that is different. These glosses contained the meanings for Latin words that were difficult, or it contained synonyms for the use of who? For the use of scholars and readers. The main purpose of these glosses was to make the complicated details of a foreign language easier and not a better understanding of the vernacular. Vernacular means it's the language or dialect spoken by the ordinary people in a particular country or region. If we look into the arrangement of these glosses, these were not arranged in an alphabetical order, but were usually attached to a particular text. In the century, alphabetical dictionaries were published. For example, Vernon's Trilingual Dictionarium, which was published in 1552. English lexicography, that is the activity or occupation of compiling dictionaries. So English lexicography gained great attention in the 16th century, but it did not attain perfection. Let us now look into some of the efforts made by people in compiling English lexicography. Robert Cowdrey is the first person who explained English terms in English in his work Table Alphabetical, which is a little book of 120 pages. It was followed in 1616 by John Bullock's English Expositor. And what was John Bullock's aim? It was to teach the interpretation of the most difficult words used in English. John Bullock's English Expositor was followed in 1623 by the English Dictionary of Henry Cochrane, both of which passed through numerous editions. English Dictionary by John Bullock alphabetically divided and arranged strange and foreign words into several parts. Next, Edward Philip, who is the nephew of John Milton, his work New World of Words, it was published in 1658, and other later compilations continued to treat only the more difficult words until the time of Bailey, whose book held the field until the appearance of Dr. Johnson's. So, New World of Words, it contained 11,000 entries. There were several editions in his lifetime. So, Nathan Bailey's Universal Etymological Dictionary of 1727 and 1732 deserves special mention. And this deserves special mention because of what? Because this served as the basis for Dr. Johnson's dictionary. So that's all for today. Thank you.